Here. I'm going to go back to capwing.com to start off this video. Now, I already have an account. I signed in through Google, although I was having a little bit of issues earlier with some projects that weren't loading as I'd hoped. What I'm going to do, I chose 3 different videos that I want to include that include something about a technique, about a particular exercise. In my case, I've chosen alligator wrestling because I don't think anyone else would choose that. I also like reptiles. So I'm going to take 3 different segments from videos and make them, adjust them, clip them down, giving a voiceover, and then I'm going to highlight one thing about the technique in handling alligators. My first thing, I wanted to demonstrate how dangerous they can be as far as their bite force. You can see it on that clip that I just trimmed out, and I want to make sure that it's in the right length, and then I'm going to add my other videos, splice them together. Now, you may have another way of doing this. You may have other software. I mean, I really do prefer to use iMovie, but if you are on a Chromebook, if you're on some other device that doesn't have its own installed program for video editing, you can always use Capwing. It's not the most user-friendly, but it does a decent job. I ended up losing some of these videos the first time I tried to save them. I'm not sure if that was any fault of my own or if it was just something with the software or my internet connection. So I want to edit this down, not to the point where he almost loses his hand, but I'm going to edit this where he puts his hand in the mouth, which is generally one of the things that alligator wrestlers will do. So let me adjust this. You can see there's already a pretty rough clip. I don't want to include that one in there. I just want to make sure I see the moment where he's putting the hand in the alligator's mouth. And getting it agitated so that it opens up its mouth. I want to get that part in definitely. And then where he sticks his hand in quickly without triggering it to bite down until the very end. Although I really don't want even that part in, because I want to have my final video where you actually do see someone get their hand clamped down. Darn. Now, I did actually put an extra cut. I decided I don't want that. You don't need to worry about that. I have my top part, the blue is edited. That's all I really want to worry about. I don't want to do anything with that extra cut in this video. Although it would be possible to show 2 different parts of this video if I wanted to add different cuts into it. And from there, I'll add into my third scene, which is about the thing you do not want to do when you're trying to wrestle an alligator. If you're foolish enough to put your hand in an alligator's mouth, there's ways to go about that and ways that aren't good to go about it. I'll edit down where the person, there's a couple of different issues here where people are getting injured by alligators, but I'm going to focus on this one where he tries to put his hand in the alligator's mouth and tries to get it to snap down, but he's not quite fast enough. As you'll see, makes a bad move and ends up paying for it. So that's only the only scene that I want. I want to discuss one particular technique, which is putting your hand into an alligator's open mouth. which I should have with a little bit more editing possibly. There goes the hand, boom. Yep, that's all I need to cut that a little bit more out. And that's where I want to be. That's where I want to stop. Good. Okay. Now from there, I want to actually add some graphics as far as what I want the viewer. I want to point out some things on a frozen frame. Now you could take a screenshot from your video, but since different computers take screenshots in different ways, I thought I would just do a Google search for a proper video or a proper image of someone putting their hand into an alligator's mouth. These are all crocodiles that I'm seeing, and they also have watermarks on them, so I don't want watermarks, and I don't want images of crocodiles. I prefer to have alligators. So I'll have to keep going. There we go. That looks like a pretty good picture. The way you insert a video into Kapwing is a little bit, I mean, there might be another way. This is the way that I figured out. I'm just going to duplicate my video so that I have that scene, and then I'm going to overlay the alligator using that link that I copied. And what I actually have is the alligator sitting over top of the other video that I made. And in this particular situation, I want to point out the things you're not supposed to be touching. If you do happen to put your hand into an alligator's mouth, I want to point out that you can't touch really any part of the bottom of the mouth. So I'm going to use an arrow to point out the two main places you don't want to touch, which would be the tongue. Make my arrow pointing towards the tongue, because the tongue is fairly sensitive in an alligator. You touch that, boom, the jaw is going down. And then the other one will be the edge of the mouth, where the man in the video who gets bitten actually touched. Now, I'm setting the time. I don't need this video. I can delete the video. It will cut down my image, so I will want to add some time to my image. But in the meantime, I just want to first add these two arrows, just so I get them positioned. I have one arrow that will pop in that will point to the tongue, and I will have another one that will point to the edge of the mouth, the edge of the bottom of the mouth, which is really the place you don't want to touch, as you'll see when that, or as you've seen when that man is touching the alligator. So I'm using shapes. I now have two places where the arrows are pointing. What I need to do is go inside here. I need to adjust that. So that second arrow on the bottom is the one I want to talk about secondly. And then this other one I want to talk about earlier on. I also do need to add some more time. 3 seconds is not enough. Now I'll get the arrow on the tongue to flash first, and the arrow on the bottom of the jaw to flash second, or the edge of the jaw to flash second. I'll give myself some more time for this video to play, and then I can adjust my arrow times accordingly, because I will want to talk over this, and I will want to record myself talking over this particular video. Looks about right here. arrows are flashing when I want them to. It seems to be enough time that I can say what I want. You may also notice I've expanded my frames a little bit so I don't have that white around the edges of my video. And now I also want to put in a title. My first scene is the alligator chomping down on the watermelon. I want a nice, clear, easy to read text, which is what I think I have here. And I'll title it Alligator Wrestling. And these are the first steps in alligator wrestling. Really, a lot of this at the beginning is just, this assignment is not a final assignment in any way. It's just a matter of getting some practice using these tools. You can see I'm not grabbing the right thing. So I need some practice as much as anyone else does using new tools. I'm very used to iMovie. This is out of my usual experience, but I'm learning as well as you might be able to learn as well. If I want to title my very initial video, Getting Started with Alligator Wrestling. Now I want to make it positioned so that I'll be able to see the scene going on behind it. It's a pretty impressive thing to see the alligator smash the watermelon, so I don't want to lose that. I think right now if I play it, it's going to look a little... I'm not actually going to see I won't actually see the alligator chomping clearly. Let's see. Yeah, I miss a lot of that. So I'm going to have to change the size of that font for Getting Started. I'm going to have to make that smaller because I definitely want to see the alligator smashing the watermelon. That's kind of the thing we want to see. This all takes some practice. Don't get frustrated with it. If you already know, if you're more comfortable with another video editing program or software or website, then please use it. Really, I want a title on here. I want a way of pointing out different techniques. So this is one technique of putting your hand in. You see, this has been my frustration a little bit with Kapwing. I lost that fourth scene. I have to redo it. Not very happy about that. But let me get this in here real quick. Let me adjust the size. You can see I'm pulling it beyond those white borders so that I have a full frame. When that gets formatted into like a YouTube or even on Kapwing, I might lose a little bit on the edges of my video, but I also don't want to have that white border necessarily. And now I have it all together. Now I'm going to I will want to turn the sound down before I start my actual voice narration. The microphone will still pick up what I'm saying. As you can see, if I go to the online voice recorder, it is still recording my voice. But I don't want to be able to I don't want to have the sound interfering with what I want to do here. Getting started with alligator wrestling takes a lot of understanding of the powerful bite of an alligator. You do not want to get the alligator's jaws around your hand. Many alligator wrestlers will put their hand inside of an alligator's jaw, but if you are going to do that, you must pay very careful attention to the alligator's anatomy. The tongue is very sensitive, as is the bottom part of the jaw. A touch to either of those places can certainly trigger the alligator to bite down. As you can see in this video, which does not end so well with this person who thinks they know what they're doing. They think they're faster than an alligator, but it turns out they are certainly not as fast as they think. And it doesn't end well. All right, from that point, I can stop my video. I'll give it a name that I'll recognize. You should be able to do this on a Chromebook. You should be able to do this on an Apple. You should be able to do this on a PC. You can download things, small files at least. on any sort of a computer that I'm aware of. And now we want to put our new audio in. I want to upload that, what I just recorded. And I will have to trim it a little bit. I can play it, I can adjust the volume. I actually am not going to leave this part. I'm doing this afterwards, so you won't actually hear the audio here. But you can see that I'm adjusting the audio, what I recorded, and I'll also make sure that it matches the video that I'm playing. Last thing I want to do is put at least some sort of credit as far as where I got these videos from. Now, I won't require you to put it into like MLA or APA format yet. That will be coming up for college, especially. That's going to be a very important skill to know how to do that. For right now, we'll just put, what the title of the video was and a link to what the video was. I think that's probably sufficient for right now. So I'll get all of those in. You can see how I am formatting this. I want to, I don't want it all to be centered. I don't want it to be too big. And when I put the link in, now I'll left justify it just so it looks a little bit better. Just to make sure that we get some credit where credit is due. That's something that's always stuck in my mind. Since I was in high school, we got to give credit where credit is due. So I want to make sure that all of the videos where I pulled them from, I don't lose them. If you do end up putting these videos online at some point, if you have content from someone else, you need to give credit for it. YouTube generally allows that with a standard YouTube license, as long as you give attribution, as long as you give credit to the people who actually made the video. Now, I've shortened this name a little bit. This is just for demonstration purposes, so I don't have to be like, give you the entire MLA format. But this is a good marker to make sure we know where I got the video from, so that when I go back, when I actually do my full credits, now I have a better idea of what actually, where my video actually came from. So once we have these 3 videos together, we're pretty much done for today. Just wanted you to get some more experience with editing software, editing videos. These are valuable skills for anything you really want to do, and will be very useful for our project as well, the long-term project. So let me get this last link in real quick, and I will then publish this, and I'll put a link to my published video. I'll put a link to the tutorial video, and hopefully we'll be able to get something done with this, because coming up by May 15th, I want to have a halfway point kind of video showing what you've done so far in your own long-term project. And I would like to have it a video format so that everyone can see what you've done. Maybe we can add some suggestions. We can explore some new ideas. We can see where you're going with this. A little bit of cross-pollination in terms of conversation is going to be my goal for May 15th. So we have about 2 weeks in order to build up these skills. We actually have exactly 2 weeks to build up these skills so that you'll be able to share a video about your own long-term project. So now that I'm pretty confident that it all works, I will publish it, and then we will be done.